What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Marriage and Medicine. This week on the channel, we wanted to talk a little bit about how to afford medical school.
So there's a few different options that you can do when you're wanting to go. We'll kind of break down what they are, but one of the ways that you can go to medical school, which isn't really that common, is if your parents or if you pay just outright pay for you to go to medical school. So I would say that's probably like maybe 10% of medical students.
It might be a little bit more, surprisingly, because interestingly
It's
enough,
just
a lot of
not
medical
common,
students, it's
really.
not common. A lot of medical students do have doctors who are their parents, and so sometimes in those situations you can get a little bit more, but yes.
Yeah,
not
but
common.
it's not typically, that one is not very common just because of how much it does cost to go to medical school, but that is an option out there that some students do get to take advantage of. So that can be one way, it could be a great benefit for you. Another way is if you join the military. So I would say probably as it gets closer to ending college is when you would want to think about doing that. Basically, the military would pay for you to go to medical school, and in return for that, they will have some kind of repayment that they want you to do. So that may be through serving in the military, like say we paid for your 4 years of medical school, so now you have to serve for 4 years or however many years. I think they do like, I think you do get paid also.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah,
as well, like a salary too.
Yeah, you get a monthly stipend associated with that as well. Definitely big benefits there. They also can afford to get you benefits associated with that. So like life insurance, health insurance, different things of that nature as well. So definitely something to look into.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say to do it just for the sake of
Yeah.
like getting your medical school paid for. Like only do that if you actually are even interested in serving in the military. Because if you're just doing it as like, oh, a way to get free payment, like I don't think it would really be worth it. So, and then you'll be, once you finish medical school, technically you will be serving as a physician in the military with whatever branch that you chose.
Before you make that decision, make sure that you talk to people who have gone through that process, really get a lot of the nuts and bolts, pros and cons about going that direction to really get a good idea if that's something that is for you in general. Another way that is fairly common, well, not necessarily fairly common, but that is available is to get scholarships. There are many scholarships out there. A lot of them go unclaimed yearly because people don't know about them. Do a lot of Google searching beforehand to try to see what kind of scholarships are out there. A lot of them will be, write an essay about something, get $1,000, talk about this experience, get $500. I mean, they're not necessarily all going to be big, like $50,000 scholarships or anything like that. But if you put in the work early on and do enough of them, you're going to make a pretty significant dent in your actual medical school loans and not have to end up paying as much back when you have to take out any loans or something of that nature. Also, make sure that you talk to wherever you get accepted. Make sure that you talk to the financial aid and admissions people at that location. A lot of schools have a lot of scholarships available. For example, if you're kind of from a disadvantaged background, different things of that nature, you have a lot of scholarship options available. So definitely make sure that you take advantage of that and use your resources. For example, I went to East Carolina University and they gave out a couple full ride scholarships. And it's just one of those things where a couple people got some full rides. It must be nice. It's cool.
I do know
put in
that,
that work.
I do know that they, at Brody, they only accept North Carolina residents.
Yep.
So if you're wanting to go into medical school and you are a resident in North Carolina, I would look into going to them because that also makes your loan debt a little bit cheaper than some other medical schools that are out there. So
yeah, definitely. But just ensure that you put in the work, put in the time to try to find and seek out these scholarships so that you can kind of benefit from those options. And lastly, the most common option that most people are going to end up having to take is going to be taking out loans. It's not fun, especially when you're taking out the loans, you're like, oh yeah, it's a lot of money. But then once you finish and then you look back at it a lot of times and you're like, dang, I gotta pay all this stuff. It's a lot. This is rough. This is not gonna be fun. But it's an investment. I mean, that's kind of the way you think about it. It's like you're buying a business essentially. you're going to put in that kind of money just so that you know that you're going to reap the benefits at the end, and you know that you're going to eventually be able to pay off that debt pretty well. So it's worth the investment to go ahead and do that. When it comes out taking out loans, ensure that you're only taking out what you need. Do not, because a lot of times you're going to have to live off of this money along with pay your tuition and different things of that nature. Make sure that you're not paying for an extravagant lifestyle. Make sure that you're not just blowing money just because you're like, oh yeah, whatever, it's loans. You're going to pay for it in the end. So definitely any opportunity that you have to get a roommate or just kind of not go out to eat all the time, cook meals at home, save money. Because essentially every dollar that you're paying out of your loans, you're going to multiply that by a significant amount because of interest.
Something to kind of help offset the amount of loans that you'll have to take out is, one, if you're married, ideally if your spouse is working, then you can try to use their salary more so to cover bills, so that way you don't have to take out as much to help with that.
Get you a sugar mama or sugar daddy, whatever. It's all good.
And two, you can, every semester, you'll kind of look and decide how much you want to take out for that semester. So you don't have to do it for the entire year. Ours was kind of like at a 5 to 6 month time span. And so what we did was just kind of try to think about what might come up during that semester. Like if you have a step test that's coming up, if you have interview season that's coming up, or I don't know, like if you had planned to get married or honeymoon or just whatever things that may be coming up that you think you might need the financial help for, try to account that in and basically try to get an estimate of what that might be. We typically would like take out loans for tuition, all of like the medical school stuff, and then our rent as well. And then everything else we pretty much would just pay for ourselves. So that's something that's going to be different for everybody. You'll have to just look at your situation and see if there are some things you can afford to just pay for on your own, and then what you're going to need help with covering like the difference. But that helped a lot because as you go through each semester, you kind of start to get an idea of how much money you actually need. Right. So the next semester around, if you realize like, I've always had $5,000 left, you could probably scale it back a little bit. I would always say to still go a little bit above just in case, but it gives you a good idea of like if you're taking out too much or if you're just not taking out enough to help you live for that time period.
Right. And if you find out that you took out too much in loans, you can pay that money back. Just because you have it in your bank account doesn't mean that it's like, oh, I got $5,000 left. Let me go take a trip. Let me go buy something expensive. Now, you can pay that money back. As they will gladly accept their money back and kind of decrease your loan burden. So that is one route you can go to try to kind of help prevent that. And also, again, just make sure, like she was talking about earlier, just fourth year is expensive. Fourth year is going to be the most expensive year. Again, you're talking about you're going to have a test to pay for. You're going to have to travel for interviews after COVID at least. But you're going to have to travel for interviews and different things of that nature. You're going to have to pay for applications.
You have to pay if you do an away rotation somewhere. You have to pay to where you're going to stay, how you're going to eat, all of that stuff.
Absolutely. So definitely make sure that you keep that into account and budget. It's very easy to get all that loan money and blow through it because you're not keeping track of it. So make sure that you budget on a monthly basis just to make sure that you're staying on track. But yeah, so those are kind of four of the main ways that you can basically afford medical school. If you guys have any other questions or concerns or any thoughts of your own, please feel free to leave a comment. Thank you guys for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe.
And follow us on Instagram at marriage, the letter N, medicine. And we will see you in the next video.
All right, bye y'all.